All right, back on the scene, crispy and clean. It's Ash Cash, the financial motivator, back for another awesome episode of the Ash Cash Show. Every Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Make sure you go to ashcashtv.com, subscribe to the YouTube channel, go to the ashcashshow.com, subscribe to the podcast, and also while you're at the ashcashshow.com, make sure you're hitting that support button, support the show so we could get better and better and bigger and better, so we could continue to provide you with financial education, all inspiration, no hype, all inspiration, no hype. And so we're going to jump in today by going into, you know the format. If you've been listening, if it's your first time, thank you so much. The format is really simple. For the first half an hour, we talk about financial news and hip-hop news and pop culture news and what's happening out in the news and how do we tie it in economically, financially. So that's number one. Number two is the second half an hour. We are opening it up for any questions. So anybody who has any questions, you would answer your questions. If you're watching live on Instagram, then you put your question right in the question box. If you're watching live on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Twitch, then you would put your question in the comment box, and I'll be able to see that as well. And so let's get this show going. We got a lot to cover in the news, and so I'm gonna start with the markets. And so when we look at the financial markets. As of close of business yesterday, March 27th, 2020, right, 2020, we have NASDAQ was up 0.77%, S&P 500 was up 1.48%, the Dow Jones Industrial Average was up 2.21%, gold was up 0.19%, and the 10-year Treasury was up 1.4%. Oh, I didn't say May? I'm sorry. What month I said? See, like the days be going. So I May, right? What month I said? I forgot what month I said. But either way, I appreciate you for helping me out. So May 27th, right? So we're May 28th right now. And so the 10-year. I said March. I'm telling you, the days are a blur. All right, cool. So 10-year is down 1.40 bips. Oil was down 6.55%. And so the Dow Jones closed above 25,000 for the first time since March. And then, all right, so we do that. And so we talk about the Dow Futures as well. And so the Dow Futures, they shoot high after Wall Street's latest rally. And so the U.S. index futures gained late Wednesday after benchmark indexes surges. Forward and regular trading as of midnight Eastern, Dow Jones Industrial Futures were up 0.60%, and then they were up to 100 points or 0.4%. S&P 500 futures were flat. NASDAQ futures, fell to 0.37. Of an upcoming executive order by President Trump against social media companies. So we're going to talk about that as well. But before we talk about the latest on the crackdown on social media companies, I want to talk about the U.S. corona death tolls. And so the death tolls have topped 100,000 as Trump pushes to reopen. And so the U.S. coronavirus death surges past 100,000 Wednesday, even as President Trump continues urging states across the country to reopen. And again, I understand why there is a surge in reopening. The surge in reopening is all economic because when you think about the federal base, you think about the state base, the city base, it's all on commerce. It's all on how people are spending money. And so the more and more that these small businesses are closed, or businesses in general are closed, then they're, the economy is not being stimulated. And so the U.S. leads the world in reported confirmed coronaviruses with more than 1.6 million American cases since January. According to John Hopkins University Tracker, And so, I just continue to tell everybody to be cautious. Don't, not live your life, but at the same time, make sure that you're being cautious and you're protecting yourself, proactively as well, right? And so it's not only about being around people, it's also about making sure you're changing your diet, right? Because a lot of what's killing people from the coronavirus is pre-existing conditions that come from what they're eating, right? So number one, changing your diet. Number two, making sure you're doing at least 30 minutes of activity, right? 30 minutes of exercise, whether it's, walking, jogging, jump rope, right? They say 10 minutes of jumping rope is the equivalent to running for half an hour, right? So go to Walmart, right? I know they're saying that everything is essential, like food is essential. Well, jumping rope is essential too. Exercise is essential. So go to Walmart, go to your local wherever, and get a jump rope for like $10 and jump some rope in your house, because that's essential. Like that helps the blood flow. It helps the blood circulate. It also picks up your immune system. So definitely, when you look at what's happening. It's not only about staying away from people, right? Get some sun if you could. Stand on your balcony if you got one. If you don't, stand in front of your building. I don't know, but get some sun as well. Just keep moving, right? Just keep moving. In other news, Joe Biden leads Donald Trump in the polls. So former Vice President Joe Biden leads over President Donald Trump. Or actually his lead falls. I'm sorry. His lead had fell. And so his lead over President Trump has fallen by 3 points over the last week, according to new polling data. The latest survey by Reuters says that Biden had led Trump by 6 points among registered voters, with 45% backing the challenger and 39% favoring the incumbent. The former vice president also had a 4-point lead among independent voters. A third of the group, 33%, said that they would back Biden, while 29% said the same for Trump. I'll leave that there. I don't have an opinion on either. And so we'll go to the next story, which is really, really important as it relates to Trump signing an order that would allow for penalizing social media companies that show political bias. And so President Trump is set to sign an executive order that would pave the way, penalizing social media companies for political bias. The Washington Post reports, which the Washington Post is owned by Amazon. I just want to let y'all know that if y'all didn't know. Sources cited by the Post said the order would essentially remove some of the protections granted to social media companies by a law known as Section 230, which currently stipulates that tech companies not to be held liable for content posted by users. White House Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany told reporters earlier on Wednesday that Trump would soon be signing an executive order related to social media, through no further details were provided at the time. The White House said Trump is expected to sign the order on Thursday. I don't feel a way. So I understand why he wants to have this order. And the order is really about them blocking what he was saying, right? And so Twitter was asking about, fact checking. And so because Twitter did that, I mean, the president took it personal, and in taking it personal, that's why he got to a space where he's like, all right, I'm going to sign this executive order penalizing people for political bias. I do think that it is important to not have political bias, though. I do think that's important. I don't, whether you lean left, you lean right, or you lean in the middle, I think it's important that social media companies do not, they do the same for everybody, right? So if left-leaning, blogs or news sources or people are lying, then they need to check that. But if the right-leaning is lying too, they need to check that. If the middle is lying, they need to check that. And the reason why I think that it's important, right? So taking Trump out of it for a second, social media could be dangerous, right? Meaning that people are accepting social media and what people say, especially the president, right, as the tell all be all. But it's also the opposite too, right? We talk about only the president, but there are situations in which people might give celebrities more of a voice, or people might be at a space where they're like, oh, okay, because the celebrities are have the voice, they might be saying some untruths. So I think that it's important that we get to a space that because of the power that social media has, I think that it's supposed to because of the power that social media has, that there should be some type of block. Because you think about the presidential election, right? The fact that Russia was hacking the presidential election, allegedly, I don't know if it's even allegedly, that affects a lot. That affects your money. That affects who gets into office. And so I do think that needs to be checked. And I'll be honest with you, as the saying goes, right? And I'm gonna pause this, right? Eat the meat, throw out the bone, right? Pause. Is that, like, at the end of the day, me personally, right? I don't want just information coming from one side. I want all the information, right? I want to, I want to see what happens where when news is being spread. I want to see what the left side is saying, what the right side is saying, what the middle side is saying. And so one fun girl says the policy affects freedom of speech. It can affect your show. And so I get that, right? And so I'm not saying that I am for this new executive order. What I am saying is that if the intention, because I haven't read it fully to understand what specifically, and even in what I'm just saying just now, that there's no further details that have been given. But again, based on what preliminary what's being read, it's saying that any social media outlet that is showing bias towards any political group should be penalized, right? And so I want to see what that executive order looks like. But my main my main point in just bringing this up is saying that I do think that there should not be bias as it relates to political views. And if somebody you have a left-leaning political view, a right-leaning political view, or a middle, political view, then that's their freedom of speech, and they should be able to say that and not have it's silence, right? There's a difference, though, too, to that point about Trump being mad that they're saying, hey, look at this, look at this. What I'm saying is fact, and Twitter's just saying, no, check this fact before you take it as fact. It's not that they silenced Trump, right? They're just saying, yo, make sure you check this out. And I'm cool with that, right? If I say something, if somebody else says something, yes, I want, we shouldn't be told that. We should be saying, yo, you know what? Check this fact. So I think that, that's interesting. So we'll definitely see what that looks like. In other news, as we're talking about social media, I found this was, very interesting as well. And I love this. Instagram will now start to share revenue with creators for the first time through ads in IGTV. And this is why I love it, because I said this the other day, right? I was talking about how there was a new app called Fundi, F-U-N-D-I, that was tapping into the Twitch API, and they were making it easier for content creators to be able to make money through their content, and they have like direct like ways for you to make money. And so now Instagram, they must have heard the show, and they was like, oh, this is dope. And but they also have started to do the same thing. And so the first time in history, Instagram will start sharing revenue with creators through ads in IGTV and badges that viewers can purchase on IG Live. I love that, right? The company has hinted that ads would come to IGTV for more than a year, often saying that the long-form video offering would be most likely placed in first pay creators. Next week, ads will begin showing up on IGTV for only around 200 approved English-speaking creator partners, including Adam Waheed and Lily Pons from a handful of major advertiser partners like IKEA, Puma, Sephora. Instagram will share an industry standard, right, 55% cut with creators. Justin also Sky, I don't know how to say his name, Instagram's COO tells The Verge that there is this is also how much it shares with Facebook Watch creators. The goal is to eventually expand this group and bring it more creators around the world. And so I love that because at the end of the day, it allows, for instance, you don't have to jump off of Instagram to now start getting paid, because what I was saying before is like if somebody's watching your IGTV live or whatever, and you want them to support you, they have to like get off of it and then ask, go, remember to do it. I'll be honest, like I was saying before, a lot of times if I'm watching a live, I'm not going to get off the live to now do something, but they, I got two phones, you know what I'm saying? I got two phones, one for the trap, one for the loan, but I got two phones. And so because I got two phones, I'm able to, like, if I'm watching something, I'm able to support by going to Cash App or whatever. But the fact that Instagram will now have badges where you can actually support somebody right on their platform is huge. The fact that myself as a content creator, as I put out more lives and things of that nature, people having the ability to monetize that is dope, because at the end of the day, it is your intellectual property that should be monetized. So I found that dope. In other news, Future tops Artist 100 chart thanks to High Off Life. So Future just dropped another album, and he surges from number 38 to number 1 on the Billboard Artist 100 chart. I haven't heard the album. I'll be honest, I don't really listen to Future's music, but I did find this interesting because he has surpassed Elvis Presley. So he broke Elvis Presley's record, and so I love to see records being shattered and things of that nature, and so I love that. And then Grace the DJ says, and now you can take the lives and place it on your YouTube page, content living on and making money. No, absolutely. And that's so honestly, what I'm doing is I'm simulcasting. So even as I'm going to do my lives, I'm also simulcasting on another, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Twitch. So dope. All right, and lastly, and I saved this for last, and I'll open it up for questions because I knew if I said this first, I would potentially, not potentially, I just don't know what energy I would bring, right? And so I'd rather get to the news first and talk about not the controversial stuff, but the things that I'm personally that could personally make me feel away. Let's just say that, right? And so protests, looting erupt in Minneapolis over racially charged killing by police, right? And so according to Yahoo, protesters clashed with riot police firing tear gas for a second night in Minneapolis on Wednesday in an outpouring of rage over the death of a black man seen in a wide circulated video gasping for breath as white officer knelt on his neck. The video, taken by an onlooker to Monday night's fatal encounter between police and George Floyd, who was 46, showed him lying face down and handcuffed, groaning for help, and repeatedly saying, "Please, I can't breathe," before growing motionless, right? The second day of demonstrations, accompanied by looting and vandalism, began hours after Mayor Jacob Frey urged prosecutors to file criminal charges against the white police man shown pinning Floyd to the street. Floyd was unarmed and reported suspected of trying to pass counterfeit bills at corner eateries. was taken by ambulance from the scene of his arrest and pronounced dead at the same night at the hospital. The policeman shown kneeling on, Floyd's neck, and 3 fellow officers involved were dismissed from the police department on Tuesday as the FBI opened an investigation. And so, I never am somebody who promotes looting and protesting and rioting and things of that nature, because I think that especially if you live in that community, you should not kind of tear down your own community. I did see, and I try to stay away from a lot of that stuff, so I don't want to act like I know, but I did see some reports that people were protesting at the cop's house, which is fine for me. I think that's good. And before I open it up for questions, the only thing I will say to this story, and the reason why I believe that this is important, this is economics, is because the reason why, number one, things like this continue to happen is because from a local perspective, we don't continue to have power over our own communities. When your community doesn't look at you as an asset or something to be protected, the people who control your community will treat you like nothing, and so I think there's so many complexities to this, right? There's a lot of complexities to this. There's a lot of complexities to this, because at the end of the day, when you look at just having economic power, I think economic power begins the conversation around what can be done and what is done, and takes a more proactive approach opposed to being reactive. I think that when you start looking at things like rioting, looting, protesting, these are all reactive based on something. But and this is a question, I'm not saying that we're not, but what are we doing on a proactive basis that will stop things like this from happening? Like I read a report that talked about now with high unemployment, right? With high unemployment, now there are going to be a lot of young people out of jobs. And so what are we doing, right? As business owners, as people who have skills, what are we doing to make sure that our young people are not in the streets doing anything, right? Or being perceived as doing anything? Again, it's not about what they were doing, what they weren't doing, because at the end of the day, nobody deserves to be treated like an animal or barbaric, right? And we see all of these police officers or people calling the police on people just hanging around. So you don't know why the police were there. Could be true, it could not be true, whatever. Eric Gardner, was choked to death in New York City because he was selling cigarettes. You know what I'm saying? And so, but it's a bigger conversation though, right? What are we doing proactively to make sure that we are taking care of our own? To be honest. Right. And so, I see a lot of, memes going around, black men, we love you. Black men, you matter. Black men, you're essential. And I think, and this is just my opinion, I think that when we need to hear that, when black people, right, black men, black women, when we need to hear that, there's a problem with overall the society, right? Meaning this. I tell my son he a king every day, but I've been doing that since he's been born, right? To the point where he knows nothing else, right? Meaning that anything else isn't normal to him. And I posted this earlier on my Instagram, where I said, like, nobody could give you what's already yours. I'll post this video later, but there's a reason why we catch black people being killed on video, and it gets played over and over and over and over and over again. There's a reason for that. And I ask, right? I never, right? And I could be wrong, right? Maybe I'm not following the right people, but I've never seen any other ethnicity get killed on video. Never. I've never seen it. If I'm wrong, please tell me, because I don't know all things. So if I'm wrong, please tell me. And if you could tell me something else, please tell me. But I've never seen another ethnicity, right, get killed on camera. I've never seen it, right? But if you look at the facts, though, I'm not making this up. If you look at the facts, black people are not the only ones that get killed by the police. We're not the only ones, right? Look it up. Don't take my word for it. I want you to look it up, right? Look at the facts. Black people, black men are not the only ones that get killed by police. White men get killed by police. Spanish men get killed by police. I don't know about Asians, but I never look at the number. But black people aren't the only ones. But since for the last 10 years, maybe, right? We're in 2020, maybe the last 5 to 8 years, we have seen a lot of these things, right? Grace the DJ says blacks are the only ones recording it. Nah, it's not true, because a lot of the other videos we've been seeing were also police body cams. We've seen those videos too. We've seen body cam videos from police as well, right? And so it's not just us recording it. There's also police releasing body cam videos as well. So why is that allowed? Some people will say, and I'm going to bring this to the economics, because I always want you to stay woke with your money, right? I'm going to bring this back to economics. Some people will say, well, it's good that we see these things because now it's giving us an awareness. I grew up in a space in the 90s, right? In the 90s. So I didn't see it, but I was there afterwards, where a police officer was chasing a drug suspect. The suspect swallowed the drugs, and then the police officer was trying to get them to get rid of the drugs and choked him to death, right? So I didn't see him do it, but afterwards, when the ambulance came and the whole projects was there. And if you're from St. Nick, you know what I'm talking about, right? So it's not that it's new, it's been happening, right? And fat shout out to Scorpio Farrell, right, who just gave me the stats, right? So far, 228 civilians this year were killed by police. 31 of them were black, right? So 228 civilians were killed by the police, but 31 of them were black. I never seen any other videos of black people getting killed, or people getting killed, but black. And so I know when I'm looking at history, right? When I look at history, I know that the reason when they lynched people, right? When they lynched black people, the reason why they lynched black people and there was a gathering is because they wanted everybody to see, because that instills fear. It instills fear, right? How empowered do you think black men are right now if they keep watching that? And they keep asking, stop killing us. How empowered do you think black people are if they keep seeing themselves being killed over and over? They can act enraged all they want. They can act enraged, but from a psychology perspective, how empowered do you think people are? And I'm going to post this video by Dr. Muhammad. He was Wesley Muhammad. He was on the Breakfast Club, and he was talking about the psychology of why these things get played over and over. And the psychology is this, is that when you have a victor mentality, like if you think you won, testosterone raises. If you think you lost, then testosterone goes down, right? So think about the people who really don't have the power. You understand what I'm saying? Like the people who are doing the killing don't really have the power. The people have the power. But every time you show this, their testosterone is rising. You're giving them power. And the people who have the power are now feeling like they're victims. And so that's why I posted this morning. If you see me in a fight with a bear, don't pray for me, pray for the bear. And I'll just leave it there, because if we understand our power, and we understand how economics plays into that power, because think about it, if you feel like a victim, you feel helpless. And if you feel helpless, then how empowered are you going to be to, be your best self? Right? How empowered are you going to be to, continue to run your businesses so you can make some money, so you could create, your political PACs, so you could, put money behind your candidates, right? So you could, so that town in Minneapolis can create, sheriffs and cops who care about the community, right? It's a systemic thing, yes. But then it's a systemic thing, yes, but you have to be able to change the system from within. So I'm not okay with just saying, raising my hand and saying, yo, you know what I'm saying? It's a systemic thing. You know what I'm saying? There has to be change on both sides though too, right? We can't be relying on the people who who have shown history. Like, history has never changed though. Like, the same things keep happening. It's the same things that happen though. And so I'm not telling you to take my word for it. I'm not telling you to take my word for it. I'm telling you, look at history. I'm talking about look at slavery. That's what the overseers did, no? Did the overseers not take the biggest slave and chop them down in front of everybody else and put them out in display to show them that this too can happen to you? I'm asking, right? Is that not what's happening with police killings on video? I'm asking. And so at the end of the day, I think it's important that we start to adopt a victor's mentality, and we start to understand ways to take back our community. If you have not read the book, Powernomics by Dr. Claude Anderson, I suggest that you do so. I suggest that you pick up Powernomics ASAP, and you pick it up and you understand how to be self-sustaining so that you're not relying on nobody. If you haven't read The Wake Up Call by Ash Cash, right? Financial Lessons Learned from 444. Yes, I use Jay-Z's album to bring a point, but I also give you steps in that book, particularly on how to create your own economy, because that's what we need to do. That's what we need to do right now, is to create our own economy. That's it. I'm off my soapbox. I'm happy. I'm proud though, because I'll be honest, I was emotional this morning, and I was like, damn, I don't know what Ash they're gonna get today. Are they gonna get the loud, angry Ash, or am I gonna be able to relay this message in a non-angry way? And I'm okay being angry, so I don't like being angry. I'm okay, but I'm okay with it. I'm okay with giving you my authentic self. But I was very emotional this morning. And I wasn't, and the funny thing about it, I wasn't emotional because of what happened. Because like I said, I've been seeing this thing since the 90s. So I wasn't even emotional because of what happened, because I've seen it. Like, I've seen it. You know what I mean? So it's not, you know what I mean? Yeah. Grace says, I think the shirt helped. No, I think it did. And I'm glad I wore it. I'm glad I wore the shirt, so I wouldn't be as over angry as I think I would have. But I've been seeing this. But you know what? Why I was emotional? Because my people don't realize their power, and that's the thing that's the thing that gets me. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing that I'm angry about. I'm angry that my people don't get it. I think a lot of us are starting to wake up. I think we're starting to get it. But that's my anger. My anger is we don't understand. At one point, what I was doing was like I was hoping that people would understand why I push economics first. And I felt it in my soul when Jay-Z said financial freedom's our only hope. You know? Like so MJ the Soul says, as a Latina woman, I can say my people too. I want you to understand, when I say my people, I'm talking about black and brown. I'm talking about Latino as well. Yeah. Right? I you know what I'm saying? Like I grew up the Oyes on Broadway, so I don't look at us as different. And I'll be honest though too, color of your skin doesn't make you my people. I want to be clear about that. Color of your skin does not make you my people. Experience, and economics and what you've been through. I think everybody, right, has been brought into this world with a God self, right? There's one God and there's one people. I believe that. But when I look at, my black and brown people, we are the ones that don't understand our God power. And so those who do understand their God power, meaning those who are not black or brown, who understand their God power, are taking advantage of it. And I think that we don't understand our God power, right? And I think that once we understand why economics is a very important part, when we understand that economics is a very important part of our overall well-being, then we will understand why financial freedom is our only hope. It's our only hope. That's it. Because if your enemy feeds you, your enemy teaches your children, your enemy, like your enemy are the ones you call for protection. Like, that does not make sense. It does not make sense. It does not make sense whatsoever. Like, how are you allowing the people who have a history of not caring about you, how do you allow them to be in charge? And so that's why we have to take back our economics. This is the point, right? Like, literally, and I've talked about this, but I've never talked about my reasoning, right? So literally, after COVID-19 happened, right? After COVID-19 happened, immediately I did not like, right, with money or without money, I didn't like the fact, right, that that the government could tell me I can't go outside, and if they shut everything down, that I could not feed my children. I didn't like that. Right? Imagine, I didn't know. Imagine if the country was like, yo, we shutting everything down. Imagine if that happened and I didn't have enough food saved up. How would I feed my kids? I didn't like that. And so that's why my financial goals change. Right? My financial goals change. Right? I live in a big house. I mean, I'm not even gonna sit here and stun. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna lie. Right? I live in a big house, and I have land. But I'm like, no, I don't have enough land. I need acreage. Right? I need acreage so that I could feed my family and some if needed be. And so I promise you, please read Powernomics. Please read it. Because Powernomics talks about creating your own economy. We have to create our own economy. If that's not the message you're getting, then I don't know. And that's what I need y'all to understand. Right? This is not a what is it? This is not a test. This is it. You know what I'm saying? This is you know what I'm saying? Like, this is it. And so I'm hoping y'all get the message. Yeah, I'll stop there. Powernomics. The book is called Powernomics. That's the book is called. All right, let's go to the questions. Back to live actions. Let's go back to the questions. If you have any questions, if you're on YouTube, if you're on Facebook, if you're on Twitter, if you're on Twitch, please write your comment on the bottom. If you are on Instagram, please put your comments in the box. Let's see where we at with it. Do you think it can be good if they're right? All right, so let me see this. So Cloud 3 Vision says, being that blacks have neighborhoods and not communities, do you think it can be good that they're rioting, looting, since, hold on, let me see this, what it says, since those businesses were only taking from them? No, I don't think it's good. And so I get your question, right? So the question is, so being that blacks have neighborhoods, right? And so that's a great point, right? So black people have neighborhoods. They don't have communities because you don't control anything, right? So if you don't control it, it's not your community, it's your neighborhood. You just live there, right? And the businesses that are in those communities are taking from the community, right? And so the question is, like, is it a good thing, right? Do I think that it's a good thing, being that they're rioting and looting in their neighborhoods and not their communities, right? No, it's not a good thing because, number one, you still have to live there, right? And so if you're right, so think about this, right? You're rioting and looting in a neighborhood that you still have to live in. And so now, we talk about food deserts and things of that nature. Now, if those businesses leave, and now you have a food desert and nobody's willing to come back into that neighborhood, whether black, brown, whoever, then how are you going to, now you're going to create a worse situation because you can't meet your essentials, right? You can't meet your essentials within that community because of you rioting and looting. I don't respect rioting and looting because I think that just like you get what you give, right? And so, if somebody disrespects you, disrespect them, right? But at the same time, like, I'm a business owner and I don't think it's ever right. I don't care who it is. I don't think it's right to physically destroy somebody's property. That's what happened to Black Wall Street. So if it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander, right? And so if we're okay with rioting and looting, then do not talk about Black Wall Street. Do not talk about 1921 where black people had their thriving community and it was burnt down. Don't talk about that then. If you're okay with rioting and looting because it's not your business and the people don't look like you, then and I'm not saying that about you, Cloud 3D Vision. I'm just saying that in general, whoever is okay with rioting and looting, then do not talk about Black Wall Street. Don't talk about that. Don't say, oh my God, they were hating on us and they tore down our stuff. Don't talk about that then. Because that's not the way you do it. The way you do it with your dollars. You do it with your pockets. Right? So instead of rioting and looting, what you do is say, you know what? All right, you know what, business? I'm not supporting you no more. Let's boycott this business. Think about this. I'm telling you, Rosa Parks, when Rosa Parks didn't get up from the Montgomery bus, right? What happened? People band together and they did not ride the bus for a year. That's what changed. It was the boycott that changed it. Be clear. It wasn't that Rosa Parks decided not to get up. That's what brought the eyes to it. That's what brought the eyes to it. But it was the boycotting. People banded together and they did not take the bus. They walked for a year. We boycott for a month, and then we back to the same thing. That's you do it with your money. That's your power. Your power is your economics. Your power is your money. Where are you spending money? You keep giving your money to these same communities that are supporting the people who are killing you. So at the end of the day, it's all about the money. So you don't do it by rioting and boycotting. Or looting. You do it by boycotting. You do it by starting your own business in that neighborhood. And get people to the community to support your business. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. So yeah, no, I'm not for rioting. I'm not for looting. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. But I appreciate the question though. Um, yeah, let me go to let me go to another one. Um, let me go to another question that doesn't incite this type of passion. So AUE Lock says when structuring a holding company to parent LLC, which one holds the business account? The holding company. So that's a great question, right? And so AUE Locks is saying when structuring a holding company to parent LLC, which one holds the business account? That is the holding company. Because so just for those who don't understand, I did a live with A. Donahue Banker, CPA, developer, fintech bank owner, and in there he talked about protecting your assets, right? And then so when you talk about protecting your assets, he says that you should create an LLC as a holding company, and then that holding company owns your other LLCs, and that holding company is not public facing. Right, and so it can't be sued. It's out of the public's eye, right? And so what happens is that you want all of your assets, right? You want all of your assets to be under that holding company. And so not saying that you wouldn't have a business account for the other LLCs, because imagine if somebody writes you a check to that LLC, right? So you do want to have a business account with the other LLCs underneath the holding company. But at the end of the day, the majority of your assets should be held with the holding company, so that way that has the maximum amount of liability, right? If you have holding company that is not public facing, nobody could ever sue it because they don't even know it exists. It exists in paper as an entity, but it's not public facing, right? Then if you have LLC A, LLC B, LLC C, all under that holding company, then yes, under that holding company, you'll be able to, under that holding company, you'll be able to have business accounts under it, but the majority of it needs to be, in that holding company. Heartland says, do you need an attorney to set that up? I would use an attorney to set it up. Yes. You don't need it, but I would use a CPA. And just kind of talk to them about what you're doing, so that they could give you the right structure, because it's about structure, right? It makes no sense to create an entity that you're trying to protect your assets, and then you don't know the law, and then you do it the wrong way, and then you're not fully protected. And so I would hire a CPA, because a CPA would be the person that can help you structure it in the right way. So you could do it by yourself, though. You can. But I would hire a CPA. Great question. I appreciate you. Let's see. Can you please do a class for high school children in finance? So God Bless says, I saw someone ask this question yesterday on live yesterday evening. Can you please do a class for high school children in finance? I could. There is a nonprofit organization that I'm on the board, junior board of, called The World of Money, and we do have, do financial education for 7 to 18-year-olds. So I'll check in with them to see what program they have, and I'll start to spread that message so that the high school students are tapped in. Appreciate that question. Do you think you could, I don't know how to say your name. Don't you think we should build businesses in the motherland and start our own economy? We don't need them, bro. So yes, right? And so that's a great question, right? So there's a so Earn Your Leisure, fat shout to my guys on the Earn Your Leisure podcast. They did an episode about Africa, about starting businesses in Africa. I don't know the number of it, but I'll find it. But if anybody knows it, tell me. But then I'll shout it out the next day. But there's an episode that talks about how the economy in Africa is booming, and that you could really make money there. So absolutely, I agree. I do think that that's a great opportunity, and that we should be looking into that. But also, just to be honest with you, in the words of the Sean Carter, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Like this is my country too, right? And I say that because it's a fact. Like, yes, there's opportunity in Africa, in the motherland, but at the same time, there's tons of opportunity here in America. And this is my country. Like my ancestors grinded for this. And so I'm not the lay down type of dude. Like, my ancestors did this. You know what I'm saying? Like my ancestors own this. Why I'm leaving this? When the opportunity, I mean, yes, the opportunity on the motherland is there, and I think we could do both. And is better than or. I am an and is better than or type of guy. I don't have to choose. I don't have to say if this then that. I don't got to do that. And is better than or. I can become a billionaire here in America and a billionaire in Africa too. But at the end of the day, my ancestors blood is in that ocean. My ancestors. So that, you know what I mean? That's my answer to that. You know what I'm saying? We built this city on rock, and not on rock and roll, but we built this city. Oh man, it's a language of the unheard. Ooh, I love this. I love this quote. Prodigy 2904 says, a riot is the language of the unheard, which is true. But who you trying to have hear you? That's what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna post a video. Watch. I'm gonna post a video of Dr. Wesley when he talks about we give him, like, I'm asking you to, why I want you to see me. I want you to see me. Why I want you to see me. There's been movements done in the past. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's been movements done in the past where we police, like, why? What I'm saying is why we can't police our own neighborhoods is what I'm asking. It's done right now. It's done. Like, there's other ethnicities that police their own, you know what I mean? Like, they police their own communities. They do it. So, I'll leave that there. Let's see. I got a few more minutes for we end this show. High Life says, if we all pulled our money together as people, what would be the best investment move for us? If we all pulled out our, that's a great question. If we all pulled our money as a people, best investment, buy land. Right? Think about in these neighborhoods, if you bought acres of land, and in that acres of land, you could build your own businesses, right? We could grow our own foods. We could, you know what I'm saying? Like, we need to build our own communities. So I would say buy land. Right? Like we need to take control of our own economy, of our own like all the necessities. Think about it. All of the essentials. Think about COVID-19 right now, right? Think about that for a second. COVID-19 happens, and the only thing you are allowed to do is go to essential businesses. Did we own those essential businesses? Could our businesses stay open because they were essential? No. Right? No disrespect to barbershops and nail salons. I mean, not nail salons, but no disrespect to barbershops, but they closed barbershops. It's like, that's not essential. Right? But the health food store that I was going to, you know what I'm saying, to get my black seed oil was still open. They were still open. I was still able to get my my sea moss. They were still open because it's essential. And so imagine if we owned more essential businesses. So I think if we pull our money together, I think that we need to focus on creating an ecosystem within our own communities. And we need to start with essential businesses. And that's why I was saying, like, I'm buying land. I think collectively we need to buy land, right? Start investment groups, real estate investment groups. Put your money together, right? I live in Atlanta. right? I live in Atlanta. And in Atlanta, you can buy 90 acres of land for like $800,000, $1 million. 90 acres. Like, just to give you context, the project that I grew up in New York was 15 acres, right? So literally, if I do the math real quick, 15, 30, that's 6, that's 12 projects. I could buy 12 St. Nicholas houses for $1 million. $1 million, 90 acres. You know what I could do with 90 acres? What we could do with 90 acres? We put our money together. 1,000 people put $10,000 together. It's $1 million. Oh, man. All right, I got a minute left. Thank you, guys. Thank you. I love y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in to Ash Cash Show every Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Tell a friend to tell a friend. You know, make sure you are tuning in, right? Make sure you go to the ashcashshow.com. Subscribe to the podcast. Make sure you go to the Ashcash TV. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Tell a friend to tell a friend. I love y'all. I do this because I love y'all. I promise you I do this because I love y'all. Financial freedom's our only hope. All inspiration, no hype. Till tomorrow, same time, same place. Salute.